think the mic is still really quiet on this. So I'm doing this as a live stream just so I can show this controller one more time because I got a new setup. So this is the controller we're talking about. I did a previous video where I showed how people could macro on this. I'm not now. I tried it out. Yeah, you can macro, you can do that. But if you want to not do it as a macro, just want to change your power to these buttons and have it be full power advanced, there's a way to do it. You don't have to macro or do any of that. Let me go to practice mode. Let's just do New Republic. And I'll talk a little bit about how you program this thing. I hope the game audio is not too loud, damn it. I wonder if I can change that in the settings. Let me go to the settings first, because I think the last time the game audio was too loud, I didn't have a headset on, but I don't think it's very loud on here either. One thing about this controller, I don't think it has a great for headsets. Let's just launch. Alright, so this is the controller I'm talking about. Let's get a close look at it. I'll talk about how you program it. Hopefully I can get the audio turned down in the settings so the game audio isn't overriding my voice. Alright, let's go to options, audio, master bound. Let's turn it way down. Even though in game I'll have to turn that back because I have to hear. We'll turn that all the way down. I have to hear the sounds of the boost and the power switching, especially doing this, so I'm really going to be messing up the switching. But I just want to show how this controller works, and so you don't have to, you can macro if you want. You can macro all day long, programs the D-pad sequences to each of these buttons. But when I first got it, I was like, well, I'm only going to be able to macro because when you go to select, like, let's say you're programming this button to be your shields, and you program it, you're going to, let's just talk about programming really quick. So to program this thing, there's a little turbo button right here. You hold it down. I'm not going to do it. It'll mess my stuff up. You hold it down, and these lights here will flash. Once they, like 2 flashes in, start your program. If you're macroing, you'd be like, oh, up on D-pad, right on D-pad, up on D-pad. Make it that button, right? I talked about that in a previous video, which I've taken down because I don't want to encourage people to do macroing. I just wanted to show that it's possible for PlayStation or Xbox person to macro. But I was like, oh, well, I'll just program it. My first initial thought is I'm not going to macro. I'm going to program my engines to the right button, the weapons to this button here, and then the bottom right be my shields. And I'd be boost scapping. Well, the problem is, just like a HOTAS, when you put your power on there, it goes D-D-D-D-D. Even if I put the turbo on it and assign to the buttons, the turbo does not affect these buttons. So even when you hold them down, it'll be like D-D-D-D, really slow. To get it to go to max, you actually do have to make it a sequence, but you don't have to hit any of the other powers. I know this is a little confusing. I have a really crazy controller scheme. Let's talk about that first. Does it show my custom here? Okay, see my focus shields convert power. Make sure you have that on tap and double tap. That's a whole other theme for shunting. But I have that on this right bumper. I have my boost on the left bumper. I know a lot of people don't do that. They have it on the left trigger. I like it on the bumper. Alright. To get to the point is my square button. You don't see it on there, do you? I took the square button, which is this, was my auxiliary before, to this, and now my auxiliary is on the down on the thumbstick. You don't have to do any of that. But my square is my dead button, meaning it doesn't do anything in game. And you need a dead button to make this work. Alright, the reason being is for it to program it to go all the weapons, max weapons, it needs another button input. It needs to be told to do 2 things to do that. Otherwise, it just thinks you're assigning that back button to that button, and it will only respond to like if you were pressing it down yourself, just like you were on the D-pad. And it's easier to do it on the D-pad when you program than it is to use this back button for it. So I use that dead button. I hit the square. Let's say I'm programming my weapons up on the D-pad. You hold down the turbo, which is the little button. Hold down the turbo, and then the back button you want to program. You hold it down. These lights will flash like twice. As soon as they start flashing, go ahead, and I always let go of the button I'm programming and then the turbo, and then I immediately, what I do is I hit the square button at the same time. I can tap it or hit it, just as long as I'm doing something with it. And I hit up on the D-pad, and then hit back on the button I'm programming. You'll feel it vibrate. When it vibrates, you programmed it. I know it seems silly that you have to hit a button that does nothing to program it to do max power, but to get it to do a sequence, you have to give it more than one button input. Now, the SCL rules is, macros is more than one button input. This is a dead button. It's doing nothing. I'm doing two buttons just to make it go max weapons to program to that back bumper, this back button. So, like I have this one, max weapons. All right, let me just get in and show you. All right, so I got my left programmed to be engines. See how quick that is? Right back button, weapons. Left back button, or right, I say left. Right, there's two rights and one left. The reason being is if you get this controller in particular, there's a slow aim button. You can't program it. The reason I got this is because if you get like a scuff, my theory is, I don't know if anybody has gotten a scuff or really $140 controllers that have programmable back buttons. They're not doing a macro. You can't do a macro on a lot of them. They're just programming your D-pad to that. When you do it on a console, it's going to be just like it is on this. You hit the button and it goes D-D-D-D-D, like say I can do it faster on the D-pad, but when you program to these back buttons, it's not very fast. It's not analog. So you got to get it to trick it into analog. You trick it like you were hitting your D-pad, but it makes it a lot easier because you don't have to take your thumbs off the joystick. So I got engines on this one. I hit this one here, weapons. See how quick I hit it? You want to make sure when you program it, it's instant. You have no delay. Like, don't pause before. As soon as those lights start, you hit let go. You want to be doing it, so there's no delay, because it will add that delay into the sequence. So I just do some boost gasping here.
Here I come!
So what I'm doing is I'm boost drift, hitting the weapons, holding that drift. I'm clicking into shields, back into weapons, back into engines. I know, but that's what you're doing on a keyboard for PC players. This is what you're doing on HOTAS, or you're doing with like foot switches. No macros needed. See, I messed it up now. Time Bomb has great videos out there on boost gasping. Fencar does too. There's a lot of pro players that have done really good videos. I don't have to get into all that, but there's a reason why you do weapons, shields, weapons, engines on advanced power. And I mean, if you're not comfortable with this and you just still want to do basic, this controller would help you with that. You'll never have to take your thumb off the joystick. There, I messed it up again. Talking. I actually like this better than when I was experimenting with macroing, because I have more control. When you're stuck to a macro, you're stuck to the little sequence you programmed and the timing of it. Maybe I want to hold my charge, and I suddenly decide I want to hold my charge in shields longer, or I want to hold it longer in weapons when I boost gasping. I actually don't like the macros after trying this. I like being able, I just got to get the timing down to control it more. Maybe I'm a control freak, I don't know. See, I can mess it up, which you won't on a macro. Well, you can, but not as bad as you can mess it up without the macro. But you have more control. also like being able to do this. You know, I couldn't do this with the macro. I didn't have room for the sequence just to do weapons to engines. I like that. Yeah. So, anybody on console, it's you don't want a macro, but you do want to improve your game and be able to compete a little bit better and keep your thumbs on the joysticks. This is a great setup. Like I said, I've done a little extra setup. If you know, boost is on my right bumper, shunt is on my left and right. Looking at the camera, boost is on my left bumper, shunt's on my right. I'll show you why for shunting ships. Why I did that. Square is a dead button because my auxiliary I moved to down on my right stick. Let's see. Can we? I gotta go in a ship to switch to Empire, don't I? Switch to Imperial Hangar. All right. I'd love to show you. We do the Defender, but we're going to talk about shunting. So, I'm still experimenting with the shunting. My oldest way of shunting, and I still like, is let's just do this: standard TIE bomber, slam engine, standard lasers. We can shunt around all day long in this. I hope this audio is coming through. Otherwise, I'll have to try to re-record it with my VR headset on. I don't want to do that. I want you to be able to see the controller and what it is. Again, this is the controller. If you see this on Amazon, you can also flip these sticks around so you can make it like an Xbox setup. You can flip the stick around. I don't. I just leave it like PlayStation. I'm so used to it. Alright, so for shunting, remember I said I have my shunt on this right bumper. So, throw all my power into weapons, let it charge up. Shunt. Boom. I can hold that drift. Shunt. See, I'm putting all my power. You fly this way, you can keep your boost going quite a bit, because look, I mean, of course this is practice mode, so it's going to drift more, but even in the regular game, the TIE Bomber drifts for a long time. Look, I'm still going 160, 150. I could do this multiple times. Before, I'd have to take my thumb off the stick that I'm steering with to hit the square button to do that. Moving it to the bumper makes it so I can... And I call this dead drift flying because you pretty much dead drift fly the whole time. But I can easily move my power back to engines. Move it back to weapons. I still suck at that timing, but... So yeah, I screwed that up. So I know you can really keep your charge by flipping around like that, especially Gen Engine. Let's switch ships. Like, if I want to do Jet Engine Rotary, let's see. Oh, I still suck at this. Fenkar has a really good video on how to fly with rotary. But just like boost gas minute. So I suck at the timing of that. I could still probably get this. See how slow that can be sometimes? Like my engine wants slow, it seems like. I could get that faster, maybe. Program it to go to engines faster. So, yeah. I still suck at it. I'm so used to flying the other way. See, timing's off on that so bad. So I prefer the other way. You can do rotary with slam engine. I just think I lose my boost. It's been a while since I've done it. See how long we go. This is practice mode, so it's not really representative, but a little bit. I'm gonna crash into shit. Any other ship, you'd be dead. Of course, I think I was just talking to Rain and another player who said that one of the things that's different in practice mode with the TIE Bomber is the turn rate is still pre-nerf, so that's probably not representative. But you can still keep your power going up pretty well like this. It's a lazy way of flying. Fenkar calls it. Well, I call it my fingers can't keep up like his does. Power up pretty well, but I can see if I could get the timing right with the jet engine, this would be way more effective. And then of course, let's go to my favorite ship ever since I started boost gasping. Good old TIE Defender. For that I need to practice. Oh, see? Messed it up already. But it's pretty simple. You're just going, of course, let me mess up my boost, trying to show you how I do it here, so. So I was practicing Rain from Cab today. He's trying to teach a number of us newer players, like I've never played SEL. He's telling me that I'm boost drifting. I'm not taking my power out quick enough. Like I'm boosting before I take my power out, and I need to do that first, take my power out, so that's just that. But I guess that's about it. Just showing people what you can do on console. You can't micro drift if you don't know what that is. It's PC only. You can separate your boost and drift buttons to two different buttons and basically cut up your boost, your drift into like you go to the drift button and you can turn or whatever. I can't do it, so I'm not good at explaining it because I'm a console player. There's no way you can do it on console. And that's what really makes a lot of these guys super hard to hit and evasive, sadly. But plenty good console players out there. Rain, CT What the Brick, I know. Dalek used to be on console and was damn good on console. Now he's sick on PC. These are all players that are in SEL, and I saw a lot more console players in SEL, but I saw a lot of them using basic power, and they're getting, I know, frustrated watching PC players shield skip. If you know what a shield skip is, you're a little late to the game, but hold on, see, I won't be able to do it there. So the whole point of me doing this is so I could shield skip advanced power and not kill my thumb. I used to do it on D-pad, advanced power, and kill my thumb doing it, but I could do it. I could shield skip, but I get tired, and then I'm not able to manage my throttle as well, or my roll. I wanted something where I could control it like somebody has on a keyboard or a HOTAS. But I didn't want a HOTAS. I should get my shields down. Let me die. One last thing. Total reason why I did this. Look for a controller. I went through 4 controllers before I could find one that would do what I needed. I need to die here. Should just stay in the out zone. Yeah, see there, I screwed it up. So I'm doing weapons, shields, weapons, engines. And that's just hitting these back buttons, doing it. Alright, just die already. I'm going to go out far out in the out zone. It's going the wrong way, turn around. Alright. Alright, let's show you the shield skip. I'm sure most people know by now what a shield skip is, but this is the whole point of advanced power to be. Let's get boost discharged. Power is completely out of shields. I have not charged them. So I'm going to go weapon shields. I'm just going to go weapon shields on this from engines, so hold on. I can boost skip around. Look how shields are almost charged. Well, except that I'm dead. I play VR, so it's really hard for me to do this on flat screen. Let's try it again. Alright, there. Except, gotta get the. I say keep hitting the wrong button. Weapons, shields, weapons, engines. You see my shields are charged just by boost gasping around like that. You can boost skip. Wish you could boost skip this much in the regular servers. I had my timing down good tonight, and now I lost it. Maybe it's because I'm not in VR. I'm looking at the screen, screwing myself up, but you can get the timing down pretty easily. I mean, this is what they're doing on PC. The advanced power on a keyboard. So, if you're on console, and you're looking for a way to give your D-pad a rest, this is the way. This is the way. Then, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't feel right macroing. This is still just as powerful as macroing. Macroing just means you don't make any mistakes. Just maybe your timing your boost, but it's really easy to get the rhythm down. Just not crashing and stuff. I screw it up there, and I gotta get better at readjusting. But that's it. So, $44 on Amazon, cheaper than a regular PlayStation controller. The company, I think there's a number of different companies that make it. It's the same exact controller. Just look it up on Amazon. It should look like that, where you can flip the D-pad in this, make it like an Xbox controller. It's got the turbo feature, um, and then 4 back buttons, but only three of them are programmable. The other one's a slow aim. You won't use that. Trust me, it won't help you in squadrons at all. You can do turbo and cheat and get out of dunks. I don't do that either. I think that's crappy. You know, if I get dunked, I'll get out of it by holding my button down. I have my dunk set as, or my counter, whatever, to get out of a dunk as hold button. I could set it to tap and assign it turbo with this, and you can get out of dunk super quick. Don't do that. Don't do that. I want people to get the controller on console so they can do that, so they can do the advanced power management. But, I mean, if you want a macro, I don't blame you. You're on console. Take whatever advantage you can. I don't blame you. But technically, against SCL rules, so I'm learning how to do it without it. And I like to be able to control my power. I like knowing it's not some sequence that I can actually decide, oh, I'm going to hold it in shields right now. Throw back an engine, I feel like I have better control over my power without the macros. Sometimes I mess it up, but it's a quick adjustment. It's not a big deal if you mess it up. You can really quickly adjust. I just gotta work on my timing, I guess. That's what I was being told tonight. There's that mess up. I've been doing that now lately. So squishy. And the other reason I quit macroing is I used to pride myself on how good I was at the D-pad of doing advanced power. While many people are like, I can't do it. I can do it on D-pad. So, macroing just kind of took the fun out of that. Now I feel like I kind of have it back, but on these buttons, like timing it. Yeah, I still gotta fix that and not do that. Alright, I guess this video is long enough. Maybe I'll take it down and re-edit it. I'll have to see how it turns out, but that's it. This is the controller. Back button's programmable to max power. I just showed you. You can do it. You can macro if you want. If you macro, fine. Cool. I played around with it for the last couple months, and it's fun. You do get kind of like perfect timing with your power management a little bit, but I like the control. But one thing, don't use the turbo to get out of dunks. Don't use it for that. Please don't. That's just crappy. I hate it when I dunk somebody and they're like out of it because they got some cheat and they can get right out of it. I hate that. You spend so long trying to dunk somebody. So don't use it for that. And like I said, you can do the max power on here. You just got to use the hold button. You got to use the dead button. So that's it. That's how you do it. I see Captain Damage just sent me an invite, so I'm going to hop off. Which button stops this? Options button. No, that's share button. How do I broadcasting?